Hello everyone. So let's talk about rules of variable in PHP. So if you want to create a variable or declare a variable, you don't just write anything and say this is a variable. There's some certain rule that you need to follow, and every programming language has their own different rule. PHP has its own different rule and it's different from other programming languages when it comes to declaring variables. And in this session, we are going to be discussing how to create variables and the rules to follow for that. And we'll discuss some interesting interview questions, syntax and some other interesting thing about PHP variables. So first thing, we are going to go through the whole rules, and then we are going to practice the rules in practical. So the first rule is that when you are creating a variable in PHP, the variable must start with a $sign. So for example, let's say you want to create a variable letter A or variable name A. So you just start with $sign and then followed by A. That $sign will help PHP to know that this is a variable. After that, the next rule is that a variable name cannot start with a number. A variable name can only start with a letter or underscore. So for example, you can say $sign followed by A, that's a variable, or $sign followed by underscore A, that will work. But if it's like $1, then that will not work. That is an invalid variable and it's going to give you an error. Another rule is that a variable name cannot start with special character. So you can start with underscore or any letter, but you can start a variable with something like percentage, greater than, less than, semicolon, and so forth. So you can start a variable name with a special character. Another rule is that a variable name can only contain alphanumeric character and underscores. So that means you can name it with a letter followed by a number, and you can also put an underscore. But in a variable name, you cannot put, again, things like question mark, percentage, greater than, equal to, and all these special character when creating a name for your variable. So we're going to be practicalizing all these things after we finish going through all these rules one by one. Then also, variables are case sensitive. That means if you have 3 different variables, that one is small letter, one starts with capital letter, another one is all cap, all true, even though they are all name. These are 3 different variables. They are not registered as one. They are registered as 3 different variables. And then lastly, variable syntax. So variable always start with $sign followed by the variable name, then equal to, and then the value. So if you are writing a string, then you can put double quotation or single quote. That's that. Then if it is like numbers like 3 or 4, you don't need all this quotation in there. So in putting in the value, you put it under a quotation if it is like letters like this. And lastly, you must always put the semicolon. So let's quickly verify all these rules. So what I'm going to do right now is to create a new file and then call it _rules.php. So under that, let me quickly put in the PHP tag, then echo hello. So right here, let's check if this file is now working properly. So perfect. So right now, let's say I want to create a variable in this. So $sign name equals to, let's use the same name I need to do, and then nothing more, just echo and print it name. So it's going to work perfectly. So like in the first rule, we say a variable needs to start with the $sign. Okay, so if I go back to VS Code now and I just remove this $sign, PHP will not recognize this thing as a variable again. So if I refresh this page now, you're going to get this error page. That shows that there is an error in that particular code. So why are we not getting the specific error that we're getting this page isn't working? That is something that I'll teach you how to set on the next part of the course. But for now, just know that if you see this kind of page when testing your code, that means there is an error in that particular code. So for the next rule, which says variable name cannot start with a number, let's confirm that. So let's go back to the VS Code and let me return back those $sign. Let me return back the $sign and make sure it's back, so you know that now it will work perfectly fine. So now let's say I just press 1 here as $sign one name. Same thing here. Now you're going to have an error. You see that? So you can start with a number, but it can start with a letter or even underscore. I can use something like double underscore or underscore. It will still going to work perfectly. Even if I use double underscore, doesn't matter. It will still work. Sorry, it will still work perfectly fine. So for the next rule, a variable name cannot start with a special character. That means if I come here now and I clear this and I start with, let's say, any special character like star, and here I start with star, it's definitely going to throw an error. You see that? So it can work. So let me return that, Ctrl Z. So right now it's back to normal. The next rule say a variable name can only contain alphanumeric character and underscore. What does that mean? That means that it cannot start with number, right? But the number can be in the end or in between. You understand? So let's say name 1, that will still work perfectly. And also, if it is underscore, it is still going to work again. If it contains underscore, it will work, no problem. But any special character like star or percentage or anything is equal to error. So if I put percentage now, definitely it's going to throw an error. So you see that now. So that's to let you know that according to the rule, a variable name can only contain alphanumeric character and underscore. And then the next rule, which is that variable names are case sensitive. That means all these 3 are different variables. For example, now let me clear this one now and say name is equal to Anisidu, right? Now watch this one, name but capital letter N is equal to Peter. The next one, name or capital letter is equal to Bruce. Okay, let's say name or capital letter, let's say Tony on this one, or Tony, sorry. So right now we have 4 different names. So the first one, sorry, I think it's an error. Okay, I didn't close this one. So now you see name bring an into. Let me change this next one to the next name. This one should bring in Peter. You see that? The next one should be Bruce. You see? And then the next one should be Tony. So these are all different variables. Then let's say the syntax, which is simple. Well, you know, the $sign means variable, and then if I'm assigning a value, you can use single quote or double quote. This is double quote right now. If I put it in single quotes, it will also work perfectly. Let's test that. So it doesn't matter, it will work perfectly. Okay. So now another thing that I want to talk about, let me comment this one. Good. So another thing I want to talk about now is that let's say you have a variable like A equals to 30, B equals to 30. Now echo, and then A, it will give you 30, right? Also have B supposed to give you 30 as well. So they are going to work together, no issue. But to make it shorter, you can do it like this, and then it will still be the same thing.